We're 7 races into the season, coming into the Keystone State tonight, and the Nazareth Speedway is a flat, D-oval shaped facility ripe for the picking for many drivers looking to claim their first win of their NBCS careers. Hello out there, we're on the air, and it's race night tonight in Lehigh Valley. It's a cool evening in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, as we're here for tonight's coverage in the NR2003 Mission BBQ Cup Series race, the Tastykake 400, presented by Trains and Lanes Hobbies. Once again, welcome everybody to tonight's Intercast on the North American Sim Racing Network. I'm Trey Wright, and we're just to the west of the Delaware River for the 8th race of the season at the Nazareth Speedway, getting ready to drop the hammer for 79 laps around this historic track in the heart of Andretti Nation. After another caution-free race at the Homestead Miami Speedway last weekend that saw Daniel Bouchard drive his Dodge to victory lane for the first time in his long career, the point standings were once again put into a blender and shaken up going into tonight's final race before the Easter off week. With a runner-up finish in 20 stage points at the Homestead Miami Speedway last weekend, Angel Gutierrez in the 28 machine propels up to the points lead, and a 4th straight top 10 finish for the driver of the number 79, Bruno Diacomo, places him 47 points behind Gutierrez coming into Nazareth. Dylan Matthews and Carson Miller both ran into issues at Homestead last week and finished 41st and 42nd respectively. As a result, they fell to 3rd and 5th in the point standings, with Esteban Lacer between the two in the 4th spot in that number 64. Mitchell Collins, Logan Williams, Eric Monaco, Igor Barreto, and Corey Case round out the top 10 in the points. Corey Case with nearly a full race's worth of points behind Angel Gutierrez coming into tonight, but there's still a lot of racing to do before the chase begins in late August. We're here tonight for race number 8. We've still got 19 races before the chase begins in late August at the Armour Digital Super Speedway. But here tonight, Nazareth has been the most visited track in the Mission BBQ Cup Series existence. The NBCS having 5 races here, and the NBCS having 5 races here in the past, and the winners at the Nazareth Speedway read off as a list of some of the most notable drivers in Cup history. John Andrews, Mitchell Collins, and Derek Hamill are some of the names that have claimed the checkered flag here in Lehigh Valley and joined the other drivers on the grid tonight, looking for some much-needed mojo going into the Easter holiday next weekend before we regroup down in Talladega in 2 weeks. But with that being said, it's that time of the broadcast again, which means it's go time in Nazareth. Let's go down trackside to get the most famous words in motorsports to fire the engines for the Tastykake 400, presented by Trains and Lanes Hobbies.
Drivers, start your engines!
And the 42 car field roars to life on the front straightaway in Nazareth, and we're all ready for 79 laps of short track action here this evening. Riley Sampson starts on the pole position in the number 24 Chevrolet. The bow tie sweep in the front row with Danny Fallington to the outside of the Aussie to make up row number 1. 2 Toyotas make up row number 2 with Brennan Wilmington and Alex Lozano. And a pair of Fords, make up row number 3 with Michael Lewis to the inside of Rogel Dorn, your Vancouver winner from a few weeks prior. So everybody rolls into turn number 2, a flat turn number 2. Banked at 3 degrees, this is the flattest track that the Mission BBQ Cup Series visits on their season schedule. It'll be a 79-lap race tonight at this just a hair under a mile facility. Stages concluding at laps 25 and 50. Pit window opens up just past the stage 2 end at around lap 53 to 55. Landon Smith Jr., Mitchell Collins, John Andrews, Nathan Smith, and Derek Hamill are the 5 previous winners at the Nazareth Speedway. Dodge Challenger pace car goes into the pit area. Riley Sampson brings his field of 42 into the stretch as they trundle through the race's restart zone. The green flag is in the air when we're off and running here in Nazareth. And a good jump on the inside lane for Sampson. He'll come around to lead lap number 1 of the night. Fallington will fall back to second. Brenna Wilmington concludes your top 3. 3 wide back in here, Roberto Crown Jr. Underneath the 84 and the 20, that is the battle for about 39th right now. And a little bit of a smoother battle up front as Riley Sampson looking for his 3rd career win in the Mission BBQ Cup Series, if I'm not mistaken. Looking for his first win in over a year, that is a fact. Would love to get the job done in that 24, but still a long way to go in this race. And Danny Fallington closing back up on that 24, about 6 car lengths out back of that peak machine. Single file throughout the majority of this field. 3 wide back in here. This is the battle for 8th. Make that the battle for 9th as Reggie Fogelman gets posted to the outside. 3 wide going into turn number 2 and onto the back straightaway. Fogelman starts to hemorrhage positions in that 3 machine. Still 3 wide back in here. Thundering his way to the inside was Igor Barreto. To the CPR cars will go side by side. Eric Monaco, your Atlanta winner, to the inside of his teammate of Fogelman. Barreto looked to nearly have knocked down the wall going into turn number 2. Igor Barreto and the wall have been a couple of nemesis over the last couple of weeks here in the Mission BBQ Cup Series. It looks no worse for wear in that Valvoline Charger. He'll continue to saunter his way through the field, currently running 12th in that Valvoline machine. Daniel Bouchard looking to back up his win last weekend at Homestead with another top 10 finish. And taking a look at some of your guys in the top of the point standings, Carson Miller. Right now, the leader of that group. He currently runs in the 7th spot. It's Brennan Wilmington falling back into the clutches of Angel Gutierrez for a moment. Those two will swap 4th and 5th. As Michael Lewis will go looks to go underneath the 16 for 2nd. All this behind Riley Sampson, who has led all 7 laps so far tonight. Taking a look at your man 2nd in the points. Held up there a little bit was Bruno Diacomo, and you can realize that Angel Gutierrez was running in the top 5 right now, looking to extend that points lead over both of the Otter Island Motorsports cars who are marred deep in traffic. Currently, Diacomo runs 24th, a long ways away from keeping that top 10 streak alive, and Dylan Matthews runs towards the Boondocks in the 75, currently in position number 39. For your Daytona 500 champion, and she is stuck on that outside lane. She'll go back to 40th and potentially 41st here as Mitchell Collins, the 2020 fall winner of this race, trying to go his way to the front of this field in that 71. Riley Sampson dominating the early stages of this race. As Michael Lewis will fall back to 4th. Brennan Wilmington try to get back in the 3rd position, and he will. Saw a similar level of domination last year with Owen Miles in the DoorDash number 05 as he and Derek Hamill went toe-to-toe last year, but it came down to that only set of pit stops in the late stages of this race. Owen Miles, if you'll remember, took the corner, the entryway into the pit lane. Ended up costing him the win, giving that one to Derek Hamill in the 47. Hamill got his 2nd win of the season and locked up a championship spot for the Tampa, Florida native. Only 2 drivers on the grid here tonight that have won here previously, the other 3. Landon Smith Jr., Derek Hamill, and Nathan Smith. Landon Smith Jr. hasn't been in the Cup Series since that 4-win 2020 season. Neither is Nathan Smith. Trey Smith never was able to get a win here. His only win coming at Kansas last season. Surprised he wasn't able to win here at Nazareth. That really favors a lot of people with the last name Smith, as somebody got in the outside wall off of turn number 4. We remain green for the time being, 12 laps into tonight's 79-lap contest. In case you're just tuning in, you haven't missed much yet. Nazareth is a bit of an interesting track in terms of the amount of chaos that we see. Remember the last race we had in 2020 where we had Dano Georgi flipping on the back straightaway. Had a lot of chaotic races here in the past, but for the most part, it's either been super chaotic or relatively incident-free. Last year's race went caution-free. And ended up in the favor of Derek Hamill. At the back end of that race, after that kerfuffle on the only set of pit stops from Owen Miles, and Danny Fallington looking to have a little more luck go his way, and trying to get Cameron Garlington's Stealth Motorsports team their second win of the season. Gutierrez has got that lone win for that team, and still, if Fallington is able to pull it off, that would once again make Toby Murphy the only driver in that program that is winless so far in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series. Despite winning a championship last season, 2025 has not been kind to the Dunkin' Donuts number 20 machines. They'll look to go in the Easter weekend break with their set sight on the Talladega Superspeedway. Nathan Stapleton gets around Campbell Marsh. That is the battle for about the 15th spot. Check that, make that the 21st spot. So Nathan Stapleton losing a lot of ground in the 97. He'll get around Monaco in the 4. We close in on the late stages in stage number 1, incident-free so far. And the top 2 starting to pull away from Brennan Wilmington, who was mucking around there with your points leader, Angel Gutierrez, who looks to keep that. Corey Case in his first top 5 run of the season so far. Looking to make some early strides here in stage number 1. Only got one win to his name, Nashville last season as a rookie. We got some contacts in the back. Somebody plowed hard in the outside wall. Not sure if it was Troxel in the 00. I believe it was. He absolutely pounded that wall going into turn number 2. Able to keep it straight for now as Beretta will hit the retaining wall for the 3rd straight race. This time not sustaining any sort of damage. He's trying to fend off Zachary Fitzwater for that top 10 spot. We're 5 laps away from the end of stage number 1. Domination's been the name of the game for Riley Sampson so far. Looking to get his first win of the season in either series, and he'll be competing in next week's Flowmaster Grand Touring Championship race at the Denver Motorsports Park. The only race to be held during the Easter break. Next Saturday, April 18th. About 2 o'clock Eastern Time here on the North American Sim Racing Network. Angel Gutierrez will be racing in that race as well. Same thing for Carson Miller, Daniel Bouchard, and a plethora of other drivers in the field here this evening. 4 of the drivers right now in this stack-up. Make that 5 of them, including 17 of Logan Williams. Still Ben Riley Sampson out front. Got a 1/4 of a second lead over Danny Fallington last time by. We'll see what the interval shows this time by. Slightly widening the gap over that Fastenal Chevrolet. 2 laps to go in stage number 1. Is the battle for 10th right now. Zachary Fitzwater going to the inside of Igor Barreto. And the yellow flag has come out for the first time tonight. Braden Perez running in issues in the 92. Looks like he got caught up with the 45 of Skylar Taylor. And that will end stage number 1 under the caution flag here for our first yellow on the speedway this evening, and it looks like the 11 of Alex Lozano caught up as well. 3 drivers look to have quite a bit of damage as the field will come onto the pit lane here on lap number 25, and this is an interesting time for the yellow flag to come out. Riley Sampson will lead the field on the service area. This is... Caution could not have come out at a worse time if you were a crew chief. Stage number 1, the results will be on your screen. Some contact between the 90 to 27, and hello, Michael Lewis turned around on the pit lane along with Rogel Dorn. So Lewis having to circle back around in his pit stall. Will lose a ton of ground in that 90. Tough break for the rookie as Riley Sampson will lead the field off of the pit area. And when we come back, we'll get into why this is going to be a tough break for the crew chiefs. But for now, we'll see what happened between Braden Perez, Alex Lozano, a couple of affiliates of the Brook Boys Garage. Getting into a dust-up on lap number 24, we're under caution for the first time tonight at the Nazareth Speedway. So Braden Perez cut a tire, wrong place, wrong time as he goes underneath the air gas bridge. Alex Lozano, nowhere to go in the 11 FedEx machine, runs right into the back of the owner of that 11 car. He'll go to the garage area as Braden Perez does a 360 on the outside part of the racetrack, and the reason Skylar Taylor was all the way in the back, she's currently 2 laps down and came down the pit lane for another tire failure. But this one brings out the first caution of the night as Braden Perez sits helplessly on the racetrack. Fortunately, was not T-boned by anybody else. He'll bring out the first caution of the night in the Tastykake 400. Take another look in real time, and pretty much cut and dry there. Nowhere to go for the 11. Nearly got run over by Alex Sanvitale. Braden Perez sitting helplessly on the outside lane. And he'll get a tow back to the pit area. He's going to lose a couple of laps, but he'll stay on the track, it looks like. Same cannot be said for Alex Lozano, who pulled his Toyota behind the wall. 41 cars remain on the racetrack so far as Riley Sampson led the race off the pit lane. See what he can do on the restart. Stage number 1 ends under the caution here at Nazareth. And we're back here at the Nazareth Speedway cleaning up our first caution flag of the night. 38 cars remain on the lead lap. 41 remain on the racetrack with Skylar Taylor and Braden Perez each being 2 laps down. Rogel Dorn lost a lap as well. He'll be on the inside lane trying to get a lap back. Pace car back down the pit area, top 10. As you see it, you'll see the stage results on your screen as well. Top 5 going back through the gears. Riley Sampson, Danny Fallington, Brennan Wilmington, Angel Gutierrez, and Carson Miller. Green flag back out here with just under 51 laps to go. And we mentioned there as Danny Fallington gets put 3 wide between a couple of lap down cars, and that's going to create an Oklahoma land rush. Skylar Taylor trying to get one of her laps back in that 45. But like we said right at the end of that pit cycle, these guys come down the pit lane at lap number 25 and lap 26. That is about 55 laps, and this is going to turn into a fuel strategy race if this race goes caution-free. Which for that stretch, went about 25 laps without a yellow flag. So if this race does end up with another caution, probably won't end up in a fuel strategy race. If it does, oh boy, this is going to make the end of this race, much like Atlanta, very interesting. But unlike Atlanta, Forgot to mention, that was our first yellow flag, and now we got another one. That's Logan Alexander going around in the back. He gets T-boned by the 98. Car's upside down. That's Corey Case pirouetting as we're under caution for a violent crash on the back straightaway. Both American Motorsports cars involved Elijah Gordon and Toby Murphy. Among the many, many drivers knocked out, Roberto Crown Jr. destroyed in the 21. Charlie Davenport had a hellacious hit on the 58, and I believe that was Corey Case, and it was. That went for a wild and horrific ride in that 63. And we're back under caution for the second time tonight. Doesn't look like anybody's going to hit the pit lane, but Rogel Dorn was one of the first cars to go around, and all hell broke loose for a violent crash on lap number 32. Well, nobody's going to come down the pit lane yet. With the amount of caution laps that they're going to do here, that might be enough to stretch it. So I think that discussion of if this is going to be a fuel mileage race or not might go to the wayside. Like we said, we either see chaos here or caution-free race under our second yellow flag of the night for the big one on the back straightaway. Like we said just before, we saw that 27 car get turned into the 58. This was our first race in 3 races that featured a yellow flag, and well, I think that big crash on the back straightaway made up for the last 2 races not having any incidents. That's going to knock out a lot of cars. Riley Sampson ducking down low in the 24. He might have an issue. I think he does. And it is a fuel pump issue for your leader, and the dominant car of the night is going to go to the back of this field, and that will give Brennan Wilmington the lead as we approach the midway point in the Tastykake 400. Heartbreak once again for Riley Sampson. Like we saw last year, the pole sitter will not end up in the victory circle as he'll surrender the lead to Longview, Washington's Brennan Wilmington. But a big crash to go over. We'll see what happened to bring out the second caution of the night in the Tastykake 400 presented by Trains and Lanes Hobbies. So this was the battle for the 4th position as Logan Alexander is the one who kickstarts this crash as he gets turned by Zachary Fitzwater up into the path of Rogel Dorn, and nowhere for Dorn to go as shooting hard into the 58. And the bad thing about this track here in Nazareth is that there's nowhere to escape. So you're going to see Charlie Davenport come in a frame here in about a second or two. Right here. Here comes that 98 car and just wallops that 58 machine. He'll go into the inside wall. Elijah Gordon is going to get caught up here in a couple of moments, but that hit right there from Dano Georgia. Let's rewind a bit and focus here on Corey Case as he's going to take a beating in that 63. There's a hit from the 98, and watch this 38 of Matt Wolf. Hits the 63 passenger side, and then back-to-back hits from American Motorsports dodges, launches Corey Case's car up into the air, does a full flip over the 58 of Logan Alexander, pirouetting down the back straightaway, nearly goes on top of Toby Murphy, and I think he's going to land on his roof after a hellacious ride. One of the biggest crashes we've seen here at the Nazareth Speedway. Georgia caught up into it. Remember, he went pirouetting down the back straightaway here. Actually, I think it was Al Agassi that went pirouetting down the back, and landing on his roof is the 63. The Delta, Ohio native of Corey Case was having a good run this evening. Comes to an end in a shower of sparks and a lot of G-forces. So we're going to take a couple of other looks here at this crash. Riding on board with Logan Alexander, he gets turned by Fitzwater, hit by one car, hit by another, gets plowed into by Charlie Davenport. And watch this 63 right over, nearly taking the roof off of Logan Alexander's car. We got to watch that in slow motion again, ladies and gentlemen. Focusing on the helmet cam with Logan Alexander, and watch Corey Case up and over the roof of that Celsius Ford. Seeing a lot of hits for Logan Alexander here, and that might be the most violent crash that 58 car has been a part of. On board with Keegan Thompson, who's right behind this battle. Yeesh, look at that 63 car fly. Just looking at through relatively unscathed. Right on board with Corey Case. Nowhere to go for the 63. The car gets walloped and up into the air. Over the 58 car he goes, and we lose the camera. Very bad spot. Not the view you want to see from Corey Case. It's fortunate he was able to get out of that car with ease. One final look at this crash in real time. Alexander gets turned, hit by the 27. And it's all on from here. Watch that 63. My goodness. And then a hard shot into that angled wall for Elijah Gordon, the 47. He'll take it behind the wall as well. A lot of big hits onto that caution flag. And a lot of drivers are going to get knocked out of that on a hellacious incident on lap number 34 of the Tastykake 400. At least 6 cars are going to get knocked out. Make that 7 cars actually, as Riley Sampson went to the garage area under the yellow flag. Either garage area or fuel, the pit lane. He's definitely on the pit lane. They might try to patch up that fuel leak. Have to see he's able to rejoin the field, but your new leader going back through the gears is going to be that 62 of Brennan Wilmington. When we come back, Wilmington will be the one leading the drivers with the green flag here in the late stages of the Tastykake 400. And just as we're coming back, Brennan Wilmington has a tire going down in the 62. Talk about a leader jinx here at the Nazareth Speedway. And that'll give Carson Miller the race lead, going back through the Reese's restart zone. Taking a look at everybody that was knocked out of this race so far. 34 cars remain on the lead or on the track. 31 of them are on the lead lap. Now make that 30 as the green flag is back out in the air. It's Carson Miller looking for his first career win in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series. Gets a good run off of the corner. Here comes Fallington trying to survive on the outside of 3 wide. And these lap down cars are in the way of a lot of these guys as Fallington trying to slice and dice. And here comes Zachary Fitzwater, the man who triggered that second caution of the night, up to second, 3 wide back in here. Eric Monaco going the wrong direction, going the right direction. However, it's a 17 of Logan Williams. Williams now up to 7th as Fallington will go the wrong direction in the 16. See if Riley Sampson is able to come back on the track, and he is. Sampson currently listed as 1 lap down in the 24. You see the damage to the front side of Dylan Matthews. She's going to fall further in the points, and she does not like what she sees up front. We got some debris on the track from the 64, it looks like, of Esteban Lacer. He's going to turn the 4 car hard in the inside wall. Goes Eric Monaco, who keeps it straight somehow. Hard hit driver's side for the New York native. But Monaco is going to get a lot of damage out of that. A lot of cars. Losing control here at Nazareth. Rogel Dorn with Alexander Rowe to the inside of him. You see a little bit of front end damage to the 23 of Matthew Hubert. It's the Carson Miller show at the front of this field, but don't look now, Zachary Fitzwater, a man on a mission in that 99 car. He was a second off last time by, and he's got those 4 fresh Hoosier tires underneath that Krispy Kreme Ford. He's gunning his way to the front of this field. We'll see what the interval is this time by. That time around, cut in by 0.2 of a second. Fitzy is flying right now. Does not have the fastest lap. That belongs to Alexandre Vitale in the number 96 so far with a 25.707 flying lap. Fastest pit stop so far goes to Daniel Bouchard, a 15.08 second 4-tire pit stop for last week's winner, who was marred deep in this field in the 07 car. Currently running in the 26th spot. It's Matthew Huber going the wrong direction in that 90. Remember, he got into Rogel Dorn under that only set of pit stops. Giacomo trying to cut his way through the field, currently in 19th, make that 18th as it gets around the Fallout Dodge, or the Fallout Ford of Juan Rodriguez. Look at this battle. 92 of Braden Perez trying to act as a little bit of a battering ram for his Pacific Racing teammate Caleb Rose up in here to complete the top 6. Trying to get around Angel Gutierrez, a crack in the top 5 tonight. And don't look now, Owen Miles, who was snookered out of a win here 1 year ago, is up to the 4th position. Trying to look for a little bit of redemption in that 05. NS Racing currently runs 2nd, 3rd, and wherever Michael Lewis has fallen down to in the 90, 24th for the NS Racing Blue Oval Brigade. 6 laps to go in stage number 2. That gap between the 8 and the 99 has stagnated just a little bit. But Carson Miller, who started this race back in the 8th position, make that 13th spot for Carson Miller. Thinking about Daniel Bouchard and how both those drivers are Dodges. But Carson Miller started this race in 13th. He has made his way up to 1st. Zachary Fitzwater trying to draw a beat on him, but he lost 6/100ths of a second that last time by. First, you got to get around the 45 of Skylar Taylor. Brandon Wilmington is back onto the track. They were able to replace that tire and get him out without losing a lap, and was able to lead a couple of laps there under caution, but after the fact, currently the last driver on the lead lap in that number 28th spot. NS Racing not having a good day so far. Wilmington might go a lap down here in the next couple of laps. But again, these guys can do about 53 to 55 laps. I think 57 is the max if they stretch it. We did have a yellow flag after that opening set of pit stops. But these guys are not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's better to say that they're not going to be able to make it than if they can. If they are able to stretch it, it'll be a happy surprise rather than an infuriating miscalculation for the crew chiefs on top of the pit box. 2 to go in stage number 2. Carson Miller trying to win his 2nd stage of the year, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he won in Daytona, and he did. Won stage number 2 in Daytona. Next time around, we'll win stage number 2 here in Nazareth. And Fitzwater has backed off a considerable amount of time. He is now a 2.5 seconds behind Miller, as those Hoosiers start to wear out a little bit. A lot of drivers on the chopping block to be put a lap down here. So Miller will come around turns 3 and 4. Stage 2 will go to the 8 machine. Battle for the final stage spot. Looks like it'll go to Thomas Troxel. We'll get the final stage point here in stage number 2. And it is on to the end. 30 laps to go in the Tastykake 400. So see the results on your screen. And we got a little bit of time here. Let's go downstairs for a Twisted Tea race break and go through the field, presented by Fram. Carson Miller leads the way in his 8 Dodge. Skylar Taylor is currently 34th. Zachary Fitzwater is 2nd. Stapleton is 3rd. Owen Miles is 4th. Angel Gutierrez rounds out the top 5. Caleb Rose is 6th. Braden Perez is 29th, but Logan Williams is 7th. Igor Barreto is 8th. Thomas Troxel is 9th. Campbell Marsh will round out the top 10, it looks like. I believe somebody may have come down the pit lane there. Keith Marsh is indeed in 10th. And he is. Somebody indeed was down the pit lane. We'll get an identity on who it was in a moment. Sam Vitale is 11th. Cole Sampson is 12th. Lasserre 13th. John Andrews 14th. Alexander Rowe 15th. Bruno Diacomo looking to make that pass for 15th, and he will. So that'll put Alexander Rowe in 16th. Juan Rodriguez 17th. Michael Lewis 18th. Reggie Fogelman 19th. Matthew Hubert cabooses the top 20. Bradley Ream is 21st, Keegan Thompson 22nd, Mitchell Collins 23rd. Actually, Mitchell Collins is 29th. He is a lap down. Same thing with Riley Sampson. 23rd is Dylan Matthews, 24th Daniel Bouchard, 25th Elijah Gordon, 26th is Brendan Wilmington. And that'll do it for your full field rundown. Presented by Fram. 55 laps are down, and trying to see who came down the pit lane, I believe. I don't know if anybody came down the pit lane after that. I may have just been a little discombobulated, but the battle for 3rd. Owen Miles shoots to the inside of Nathan Stapleton. He'll get to the podium. Now this field is in the middle of a lot of lap traffic, as it was actually Ryan Durrani who came down the pit lane. He had a tire issue in the 86. That'll put him a lap down. Make that 2 laps down for a green flag pit stop for the Las Vegas native in the 32nd spot. Brennan Wilmington, the next up on the chopping block is Carson Miller. Trying to catch up to that 62 machine. He's got a 1.7 second lead over Zachary Fitzwater, who has not been able to get around Skylar Taylor on this run. So far, only 1 set of pit stops has been completed. Bouchard has got the fastest pit time and the fastest lap. Stagnating so that Alexander Vitale can get it in that number 96 car. I believe he got it on lap number 3 of tonight's 79 lapper. There'll be 22 laps to go for Carson Miller this next time by, but the main question, like it has been over the last couple of races, is fuel. Can Miller get his first career win at the Nazareth Speedway, or will he run out of fuel? I think part of the reason Fitzwater has backed off a lot, he is in full fuel conservation mode. He looks to the inside, or tries to look to the inside of Skylar Taylor. But Miller winning this race would put it wouldn't put a hand grenade into the points battle. I think it would just make it more interesting. Dylan Matthews is certainly going to be the biggest loser out of tonight. But Miller winning would put him right back towards the points lead with him and Gutierrez. Esteban Lasserre having a respectable night in the 64. Currently runs in 12th. How about Alexander Vitale? 8 races in, finally gets together a top 15 car, and he's looking to have a top 10 run tonight if he can catch up to Campbell Marsh. Or if somebody in front of these guys has an issue. But Sam Vitale already has a fast lap bonus. Not a whole lot of luck for his teammate tonight, as Corey Case went for a wild ride down the back straightaway on lap 34. Sam Vitale trying to get Agais their second top 10 finish of the season. Thomas Troxel looking to get the only remaining Brook Boys Garage entry into victory lane, as we got some more debris on the racetrack, and our 2003 officials deeming it's out of the racing groove. So we'll remain green at NS Racing. Sans Michael Lewis trying to get 2 of their veterans up inside the top 5, potentially in the podium. Owen Miles Gets passed by Nathan Stapleton, but Miles has been the fastest car on the track over the last couple of laps. I believe he is firmly good to the going, and he's showing it with his lap times right now. Trailing right to the back end of Zachary Fitzwater, who continues to lose pace over Carson Miller. Miles looking for a lane around Fitzy here as we begin lap number 64. It'll be 15 laps to go next time by. Miller with a 2 1/4 second lead over the 99 and the 05. Miles trying to get around Zachary Fitzwater, but Zachary Fitzwater, much like Ryan Newman, one of the toughest drivers to pass in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series, and with 15 laps to go, he's going to want to keep this second place run as Miles washed up in the corner just a little bit there on the 05, and that's going to bring Gutierrez back into this battle. Angels looking for another good run here to keep that points lead. Bruno Diacomo lost a lot of time there trying to see what happened. Diacomo was the 16. Danny Fallington had a camshaft issue. 33 cars remain on the track. Diacomo currently sits in 22nd right now. Looks like that top 10 streak is going to end here tonight in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Dylan Matthews and both Otter Island Motorsports cars are going to have some issues and going to lose out a little bit in the points battle going into Talladega in 2 weeks. Yeah, looking at a lot of these guys up in here. Logan Williams with a good run, came in tonight's 7th point standings, currently runs 7th to 17. A lot of 7s on the board for the Wisconsinite. Igor Barreto right behind him in the 13, also having a good run. Mitchell Collins was not having a good run. Neither was Eric Monaco, and we all know what happened to Corey Case, says Alex Lozano. Rather, Thomas Troxel nearly knocks down the wall going underneath of the bridge, and this is about the point in the run like we saw at around lap 33, where we start to see guys start to blow tires and have tire issues. Again, it's such a flat track. You're using a lot of rubber when you roll into the corners, and you're using a lot of brake as well. You don't have that banking to help you out, and see a lot of cautions here caused by tire failure and mechanical failure as Sam Vitale stuck up on the outside lane. He'll go to the boondocks in the 96. John Andrews, winner of this race back in 2021, looking to get a top 10 run. Rogeldorn being passed by a couple of Fords. He's going to hold up the 97 going down the back straightaway, and he will. Stapleton elects not to make it a 3-wide battle as Gutierrez shoots the gap down low, and so will the 32. Looking to get the 2-for-1 Saturday night special as Caleb Rose. And he'll get a position off of that bonsai move to the corner now that Nathan Stapleton. A little bit peeved with his Ford teammate as we got less than 10 laps to go in the Tastykake 400. Carson Miller now is caught up to the back end of Eric Monaco, but the question of fuel remains a constant. Does anybody elect to come down the pit lane, or did these guys save enough octane race fuel? That's the big question that everybody on the pit lane is asking. Riley Sampson underneath the 14 of Keegan Thompson. Riley is not on the lead lap, so this pass is a minute detail. Same thing for Mitchell Collins that got caught a lap down. It's a 2-second gap between Miller and Fitzwater. So we're within the final 10 laps of the Tastykake 400. 2 cautions so far tonight. Second one was probably the biggest crash we've seen so far this season as Fitzwater will get around Monaco, but has not been able to get around Skylar Taylor. Has been a thorn in the side of that 99 so far tonight. Gutierrez looks to retain this points lead going into Talladega in 2 weeks if he can keep this 4th place run going. But again, the question of fuel remains in the air as 5 laps to go remain for Carson Miller. Just a little under 5 miles separate Miller from his first career win at the Mission BBQ Cup Series level. I believe he would become the 60th different driver to win the Mission BBQ Cup Series if able to hold this lead for the next 4 laps. Fitzwater falling back a lot there, lost another couple hundredths. Miller right now on cruise control. He's got Elijah Gordon coming up in his windshield in the next couple of laps. But can he make it to the end? Nobody else is on the pit lane. 3 laps to go for Carson Miller. Is anybody coming down the pit area this time by? Everybody's rolling through, and I believe that this field, these guys should have saved enough going into this race, going into this run after that caution break. Sticks high in the air, 2 laps to go for Carson Miller. Can the Burlington, Vermont native get his first career win? And the yellow flag is out with 2 laps to go. A caution in the back between Fitzwater and Owen Miles, and that'll be the end. I didn't even feel like I needed to say that this race was official with 2 laps to go, but it will be. Zachary Fitzwater looks like he got dumped in that battle for second. And Fitzy, who is looking to have a perfect night, is going to be angry with an E as Carson Miller will take the white flag. Miller is hoping that that 8 car just holds on for the next couple of corners as Fitzwater back on track. We'll take a look and see what happened on your screen. It's a gut punch for Fitzwater and a gut punch for Owen Miles. Those 2 running 2nd and 3rd at the time of the yellow flag. I don't know why Miller's car is flickering like that under the lights here. It's the only car that's doing that. I don't know why. Maybe he's just giving a little bit of a light show in that FYE number 8. But off of turn number 4, Burlington, Vermont native will become the 2nd rookie driver to win in 2025. Carson Miller will get his first career checkered flag at the Nazareth Speedway. Miller gets the job done in style. Gains 13 spots from a starting position. Never really had any pressure out back. He had the 45 of Skylar Taylor in between him and Fitzwater and Owen Miles effectively take each other out. Mutual assured destruction. Angel Gutierrez will be 2nd. Huge points day for both Miller and Gutierrez. So that'll end this race under the caution flag. Taking a look at your official standings, Carson Miller gets his first career win. The Mission BBQ Cup Series, becomes the 60th different driver to win in the MBCS and the 77th different driver to win on the North American Sim Racing Network. Angel Gutierrez will get 2nd. He'll get a plethora of points in that 28 machine. Caleb Rose rounds out the podium. Nathan Stapleton and Logan Williams, the top 5, a good run for the 17. Thomas Troxel, Campbell Marsh, Esteban Lasser, a good top 10 run for the 64. John Andrews and Cole Sampson round out the top 10 as we take a look at everybody that retired from this race. 32 cars finished this race on the track. 25 of them were on the lead lap. Owen Miles and Zachary Fitzwater go from 2nd and 3rd to 24th and 29th, respectively. As we take a look at everybody, you see Dylan Matthews able to salvage a 21st place run, and Giacomo was able to salvage 19th, still a top 20, and essentially a top 20 finish for Dylan Matthews, just right on the back end of that. But tough breaks for both Otter Island Motorsports cars tonight going into the Easter weekend next weekend. But again, this is going to shake things up in the point standings. Angel Gutierrez is going to extend his lead, and Carson Miller was 114 points behind Gutierrez, but he was about 60 behind Matthews and Giacomo. So he'll definitely pass those cars, but Angel Gutierrez is safe to say he's going to have a healthy points lead going into the ASC Diehard 500 in 2 weeks at the Talladega Superspeedway. And well, we're 8 races into the season, got our first off week in the horizon, and after that it is a 4-race slate for our next off week: Talladega, Texas World, Bridgehampton, and Chicagoland. The next 4 races before our next off week, before Charlotte, Nashville, Diamond Ridge, and Pocono in that span. And after that will be Duncan Week of Speed, another off week, Dover, Indianapolis, Watkins Glen, Michigan, and Armory Digital to round out the regular season here in the Mission Barbecue Cup Series. But that'll do it for tonight's coverage of the Mission Barbecue Cup Series, and that'll do it here from Nazareth. Congratulations once again to Carson Miller for winning the Tastykake 400 presented by Transit Lanes Hobbies. The next time we'll be on the air, it will be coverage next week for race number 4 of the Flowmaster Grand Touring Championship on April 18th from the Denver Oval for the Coors Light Denver Grand Prix on April 18th at 2 o'clock Eastern right here on the NASRN. And we'll see Mission Barbecue Cup Series coverage for the next time down in Alabama for the ASE Diehard 500 at Dega, the Talladega Superspeedway. That one starting at 2 p.m. Eastern on April 26th in 2 weeks, once again right here on the NSRN. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, ladies and gentlemen. Here are your point standings after Race 8 of the 2025 Mission Barbecue Cup Series season. And from Nazareth, Pennsylvania, on behalf of the North American Sim Racing Network, my name is Trey Wright. Have a great evening, folks. We'll see you in a fortnight in Dega.